All right. Success. Sure. That back up. All right. Can everyone see my presentation?
Yes.
Hey, Brian.
Hi there.
You slipped in as I was moving windows. Expand this out just a little bit. Oh. All right, it is time, and I'm going to assume that we've got all the important people. All right, so welcome. This is our first session, or it's an advisor orientation that we call it. We'd like to have a couple of these meetings during the Birch Bark year. So thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us. Whoops, out of the way. We'll take a few minutes and kind of introduce ourselves as guides, and then we'll kind of ask you to introduce yourself on the way. And it's not going forward. There we go. So this is most of us on board. So these are a bunch of the guides that are here. I'm Mark McCormick. I'm down in the lower left corner. I've been in Birch Bark since around 2008, guiding since I think 2010. So for a while, I've got a couple scouts eagled out from Troop 483 here in Western New York. I was affiliated with Troop 483 for a long time, but like a lot of troops, they got merged with some other troops. So fortunately, Troop 483 isn't there anymore. Both my sons are Eagles, and like I said, from 483. I've been on a lot of high adventure, not just Birch Bark, but I've been to Philmont 3 times, and do a lot of outdoor camping with the troop, and within the troop that really will have me. So we'll go around and introduce the other guys that are on the call. Doug, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Doug Lenz. I guess I first got started with Birch Bark back in 2009. I took a venture crew with my son and daughter, and I've been guiding now. I moved out of the Western New York area into the Hudson Valley region, and I've been guiding for the last 4 years or so. I also have been a lot of high adventure, and I am a nationally trained Voyager high adventure trek guide. And I will be looking forward to helping all of you with your treks, either as a guide or as a ranger up at the base camps.
Brian, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi there, everyone. My name is Brian Darcy. I guess I'll say I first went to Algonquin about pretty close to 50 years ago. And interestingly, I first went with Algonquin in 2008, like some of the others. Became a guide, I think, in 2012. And my real claim to fame probably is that my Eagle Scout son, who loved it so much, became the first second generation Birch Bark guide. He's down in New Jersey now. He can't come this year, but I guess that's my claim. So
That's awesome. I don't think we have any other guides on. Did you see anybody?
Potsler is here.
Oh, Mark. Mark, you want to introduce yourself too?
Sure. Apologize if there's background noise. I'm actually driving home from the Hudson Valley area right now. So I'm Mark Potsler. I've been a guide since about 2015, I believe. Participated as a, Birch Bark, crew a few times. And on our last trek through, our guide at the time, Rick, said I would be a really good guide. And I said, okay, you don't have to twist my arm. How do I sign up? So I've been doing that ever since. I was a scout leader with Troop 507 down in Holland. Eagle Scout myself. My son is an Eagle Scout as well. And that's me.
Thank you. So I think that's all the guides. It's getting kind of crowded in here. All right, so if we can go around real quick, I'll call names out as they were joining. I was kind of trying to write down names. So I'll try and get everybody. Really just looking for your name, the troop, how many crews you're going, just a little bit about yourself, where you're going to go, Adirondacks or Algonquin, and if you have any past experience with Birch Bark. And can we start with Patrick Kelly?
Hi, my name's Patrick. My troop's 6650. I think we have like 3 crews going. We're going to the Adirondacks, and this is my first Birch Bark. So
Awesome. Welcome. Kim, you want to go next? I assume it's Kim.
Dellinger?
Likim. Is it just the?
Yes.
All right.
I'm with Troop 220 out of Fort Mill, South Carolina, and we have 3 crews going, and we're doing the Algonquin out of Birch Bark. Is that the one?
Yep. Have you done it before?
Never have. Never
Wow.
have. I personally have never done a high adventure. The troop has, but this will be new for me, and I'm excited.
Excellent. It's a great time. Eric Murphy.
Yes, I'm Scoutmaster of Troop 61, Pennsylvania. We are going to the Adirondacks with 1 crew. I've been Scoutmaster for 12 years now there, and we recently just became a blended troop. So we'll have a blended crew with us, so it should be a good time.
Excellent. Sparky.
Hey everybody, I'm Sparky Zivin. I'm the committee chair with Troop 306. We actually have quite a few 306 people on the call right now. We've got 2 crews going up to the Adirondacks.
Excellent. First time?
First time at Birch Bark, not first time on a canoe expedition.
Great. How about Spectre Alice? 22 Spectre.
So I'm Alice, and this is
I'm Tyler. I'm in Troop 6650. I'm going to Adirondacks, and I don't have any past experiences.
Great. Welcome aboard. Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim Gauker. I'm with Troop 220 also, so the other Kim coming on with the 220 girls trip. We have 3 crews going, and we're going to Algonquin Adventure, and again, no past experience with Birch Bark.
Excellent.
And I have no past experience with this type of trip, so it'll be an adventure.
It is. That's a great time. Tracy.
Hi, I'm just Leif Silva's mom. We're in Troop 306, like with Sparky, and I'm not going on the trip, but my husband, Eric Silva, who's now the Scoutmaster of Troop 306, is on a different scouting call at this moment, but he'll log in about 10 minutes and he will be going on the trip with you guys.
Okay, great.
He's here.
Oh, where are you?
Eric Silva.
Okay, let me just mark your name off too, so I don't have to call you again. You could just introduce yourself real quick if you want.
Yeah, current Scoutmaster of 306 as of 3 days ago. So looking forward to Birch Bark with Sparky and Jeff.
Excellent. Mark K.
Hi, Mark Kozelik, Troop 137 in Harleysville, Pennsylvania. We have 2 crews for Algonquin, and we are first time with Birch Bark, but the troop has done a couple of different high adventures.
Excellent. You're going to go with me. I'll be your guide.
Excellent.
Tom Russo. Is Tom still on? Yes. You're on mute, Tom, if you're. Going once, Tom.
Thomas is with Troop 306. He's one of our youth.
Okay, excellent. Asher. Boy, it's getting crowded in here.
Oh, hello. My name is Wyatt Cragler. I'm with Troop 306. We have 2 crews, and we're going to the Adirondacks. I've never gone on like a Birch Bark like canoe trip, let alone any canoe trip. So I'm excited.
Have you done high adventure?
No.
Okay, great time. Where are we?
You guys from Troop 306, I'll be one of your guides.
Anna,
Excellent.
Anna Marie's phone.
Hi, I'm also with Troop 220 out of Fort Mill. This is my first high adventure, my first real trip like this. So I'm pretty excited.
Excellent. So there's a Mary on. Did we have Mary introduce herself? Going once.
Hi.
Hello.
Did it work? Hi. I am also with 220, and this will be my first time on a high adventure.
Welcome. Peter Jablonski joined us, and now I don't see him anymore. There he is. Peter, if you want to introduce yourself real quick. He's one of our guides.
You're muted, Peter.
I think he's looking for the unmute button.
All right. Hi, Peter Jablonski. I'm a Birch Bark guide. I used to guide in the Adirondacks. I've been with Birch Bark for about 20 years. There you go.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Peter. So we'll get into this presentation. Hopefully, we'll be done in about an hour. We'll have some questions, but it shouldn't take too long.
Anybody we miss?
Oh yeah, did we miss?
John Burroughs here.
Oh,
Troop 220 Fort Mill. First time.
Yeah, also also from Troop 220 in Fort Mill, Adam Plant. Also my first time doing a high adventure.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to see you guys here. Nice to see your representation.
Jeff Scharf, 306. Several high adventures under my belt. Couple of Northern Tier, but like the other folks have mentioned, it's our first time with Birch Bark.
Very good.
And this is Eric Fielding. I spoke earlier for Thomas Rousseau, but I'm the former Scoutmaster of Troop 306 as of 3 days ago. And this is my first time with Birch Bark, and I've done Sea Base as well.
Okay, excellent. Anybody else on that we missed?
Hey, Mark.
Yep.
We have to welcome Eric to that wonderful group called the Recovering Scoutmasters. a lot of us belong to that group.
Yeah, there's a lot on this call, especially in Birch Bark, and from the guide perspective. All right, so the objectives really for this session is kind of train the trainer, right? So we gave you a lot of information, and we try and kind of operate from a top-down perspective of making sure that you as the adult advisors kind of make sure that the senior patrol leaders and the other crew members are doing the right thing, getting the right training, have the right license and organization done. So from that perspective, with train to trainer, we're going to review a lot of the resources available, with some training that you should be doing, how the crew should be organized, and the personal gear. A little bit of homework to take away for the next session. So we'll kind of help you through it. You should have all received by now the leadership guides, their advisor guides, and their route planning. If you haven't, let me know separately. And I will say, one of your guides have been assigned to all your crews. So if they haven't reached out to you yet, they should very, very shortly. But your crew guide is probably your best starting point for getting information. So if you're missing something, you have a question, talk to your guide, get him to answer, and he will route it up to one of us administratively. So if it's an administrative question, it'll go to me and Hank. But if it's a guide question, it may go to Doug. But either way, start with your guide, and we'll work our way through. If it's a billing question, it always goes to Chris. So he's been sending you all those emails. And he's our council rep, and he's been handling a lot of, Chris Matthewson, he's been handling a lot of the financials, the liaison between Birch Bark and the council. So it's a big resource for us. Like I said, the resources on the web, we're at gfcscouting.org now, Great Falls Council Scouting. That has changed literally over the last month. I don't know, a lot of you folks probably aren't part of Western New York, but we've merged with other councils. So our website has moved, our name has changed, and the way we do registration and billing changed all during the Birch Bark cycle. So things are a little bit in flux for us, but they're settling down now. But right now, the place to go is to GFC Scouting Camping / Birch Bark. And that's where we're putting all of our information. There's still some information to put out there, but for the most part, we're trying to keep it there. I'm going to hand off to Doug now, and he's going to talk a little bit about some of the materials that you should have been getting and what they mean and how do you use them.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
So I'm just going to go a little bit detail on some of this, but not too much. The two most important things I think for you to go over in advance and with your scout leaders and your scout advisors would be the advisor handbook, which is this. I can't see it. Never mind.
Green screen.
It's the one in the upper left. And that's an important because it really talks a lot about and gives you templates on a lot of the calendars that are going to happen. It gives you a lot of good ideas for training and preparing at home. Well, we're going to cover a little bit of what we kind of training and shakedown will do for you guys in person. It helps. It's got packing gear lists that you go over. It tells you the kind of gear and equipment we will be providing. Talks a little bit about food, about your schedule when you're up here. It has the health forms for you and your units to fill out, make sure you have with you. And so definitely a lot of good information like that that'll be important for you to go through. The canoe tripping, which is in the lower left, is just an excellent book to really learn about what we're doing, what it's going to be like up there in the Canadian wilderness or in the Adirondack wilderness. It goes over some just things that you'll need to learn or have training that you might need to have. Simple, quick reviews of stoves and water treatment, and a lot of interesting history. A lot of important contact numbers, emergency contact numbers, things like that. Then you also should have, for the folks in the Adirondacks, a canoe routes of the Algonquin for you to look through, and for the Adirondacks, canoe routes for the Adirondacks. And in there, what it really does is, as you look through it, what would be easiest for everybody is it kind of organizes the different routes you can take, what kind of routes they are, how hard they are, and with some detailed itineraries. So you can really take a look and think about which ones you might like to do. And then when you get together with your guides, go over what your objectives are, what things you'd like to see and do while you're on this adventure, this trek. You want to do a 50-miler? Do you want to do some hiking? Do you want to go fishing? And do you want to, do a strenuous, experienced trek? Do you want to do an easy beginner's trek? And the guides can help you sort through all the different options and get you on the trek that's best for your group. So again, I encourage you, if you don't have that information, it's on our website and you can download it. And so again, here's some more of the materials again. Like I just mentioned, you got the forms, the checklists, schedules, worksheets for the different canoe routes, the How to Bible. You also should have provided a map of the areas that we're going to canoe in Algonquin and in the Adirondacks. So again, you can use those as resources to help you look at your options and plan your routes. And again, just reinforcing the advisor handbook's, very important. It's got all these lists and calendars and rosters and forms. So again, as Mark had said, we're going to be leaving with some homework. So look through this with your scout crew leader, and when your guides get with you, we can help you start making decisions and answering questions.
Yep. Thanks. And it's important to know, the goal of our Birch Bark program isn't to get scouts to join Birch Bark. The goal is to get scouts out with or without us. So we don't hold anything back. We don't keep our knowledge to ourselves. There's no, oh, you have to bring us because we have that knowledge. We give you all the knowledge that you need. We really hope that scouts make this a lifelong thing of going out on a canoe trip, and they're empowered after a while to do it themselves, because we're going to train you on everything you need to do, and we really do everything that's in that handbook, right? So a lot of handbooks are like, oh yeah, sometimes people do that, sometimes they don't. No, we do everything that's in there. That is how we operate. So you're getting the real stuff. Real quick, the registration process, right? You've all been through the first couple steps. We're at the last part of crew payments, where you're making it, and this is where things get, this is where the churn is. This is the rough water part of it, because we're switching from the old system, the old financial system, to what's called Black Pug, which is a newer system, which it's better, believe it or not, than what we used to have, because your payments go directly into the council. There's no middleman of trying to take payments in. I think some people may have experienced a little bit of churn in that we were doing it by person, but I think because something happened in the system, it's kind of by crew now. The payments are by crew instead of per person. So again, we're trying to work our way through the system, and it'll be good next time around. But right now, we're just we haven't lost anything, but the rules keep changing just a little bit on us. So part of that packet that you have is the informed consent and health forms. And these are really important, right? Because this is high adventure. It's not, we're not going to a scout camp. We're not canoe or car camping or trailer camping. We're going to be in the backwoods on our own. So these health forms are very important, right? They have to be filled out by adults too, and even the guides fill a form out. So we'll share our health form with you, because we don't want you to have any surprises out on the trail as guides going out. So we'll review those things. So when we get the health forms, you're going to need to make a couple copies. So you're going to want to have a copy for yourself as an adult advisor. Keep all the copies of the forms with you in some sort of waterproof packet, because stuff's going to get wet. And then give a copy to the guide when we get to base camp. Okay, so the guide will give a whole bunch of copies, and we'll use that and go through and meet with all the scouts and the adult leaders and talk about the form, if there's medications or any issues that are coming on, and just to ask if anything needs to be updated along the way. And we'll keep our set at base camp in case something goes wrong, right? So if we have an incident out on the trek, the base camp ranger has those forms. So when he calls for help or needs somebody in, they have the form, they have the emergency contact, and they can tell the crew that's responding any particulars that need to be talked about. Now, there's one more copy that you should have with you, and I always found it really helpful. So each car is going to have a certain number of adults and scouts in it. You should have a binder with those people that are in the car. So this binder will have their health form and any travel documents for those people that are in the car. So that's kind of important, especially for those going to Canada. And one of the things that we really kind of make sure, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but for these forms, make sure both parents fill these or sign their name to these forms and put their contact info on those forms, right? We had incidents in the past where there were some custodial rights issues that could have been solved if both parents actually signed the form. Believe it or not, those border guards do a pretty thorough background check, even of the scouts. So we had one scout that a while back was in a bit of a custody dispute, and it only had one parent on it. So they held him back and said, well, we need to get a hold of another parent to make sure that they're okay with it. So again, have just out of abundance of caution, have both parents sign the forms. There's a risk advisory at the back of that form. Read it, make sure your doctor reads it and agrees with it. This is strenuous activity. It's not, again, we're carrying canoes, we're carrying heavy packs. We're walking, maybe in the rain, maybe not, but read the risk advisory, make sure your doctor understands it. He will, Brian D'Arcy is a doctor, and he reads every line of this thing before he signs his name onto it, right? So doctor's got to know the risk of what he's actually signing up for. And I think this is, we're going to talk, Doug's going to talk a little bit about some of the training requirements that adult advisors should go.
Yeah, so for your adult advisors, just make sure everybody who's on the trip is registered with the BSA. Hopefully, all of you will attend these sessions. If you can't, again, we're recording it, and we can send you the session recording, and you can review it on your own. And we'll go through a bunch of online training modules that are either required or recommended for you, and maybe even some of your scout youth leaders to take. So next one. Obviously, youth protection is required for all adults over 18. Probably most of you have done it, and just make sure all of you are current. If it's going to expire before the trip, just go online and renew your training. So that's mandatory. Other advisor training that's now recommended is safety afloat. And that takes about 20 minutes. It's very easy to do. If your council has like a university scouting and you can take it there before you go ahead and take that training there. You can certainly do it online. If you already have had it, just make sure that it hasn't expired, because you need to renew it every 2 years. Again, that's very, very valuable information. Goes over the 9 points of safety when you're on the water. And again, if you're going with one of your sons or daughters, have them sit in on the training if you're doing it online, and they can learn too. Next. Safe swim defense, again, is another one of these recommended for all adults. It's the same thing. You can do it online, or if you're got university scouting, you can do it there. It's 20 minutes. It covers the 8 points of safety for setting up safe swim defense. We are going to be out on the water. There may be opportunities to when we're not canoeing and we've set up camp to set up a safe swim defense for everybody to go swimming. So again, go through that, and if your youth leader is also available, have them watch it with you and learn.
Yeah, it's the most common question we get. Can I swim here? So it's helpful to know. No, I don't think that's a good idea.
And then wilderness first aid and CPR. All of us guides are certified for wilderness first aid and CPR. And we have to go through this every 3 years. We recommend that one of the adult leaders also goes through. It's a little bit of a commitment. It's 16 hours. You can do it online for most of it, but the practicum, the practical hands-on, you would have to find a wilderness CPR course nearby in order to do the actual practical hands-on. when I took my youth to Philmont or to Birch Bark, I always had one of the youth leaders come and take the course too. It's just an invaluable kind of skill to know. And my daughter was one that took it, and she's actually used it more than I have. So again, that's recommended. And all of us guides will have it. And some of us guides are actually certified doctors. So that's even better. Next.
All right. So I'll pick this up. Should say Algonquin passport. So for those people who are going to Algonquin, you're obviously going to cross the border. That being said, the standard rules apply, right? If you need a passport or one of the real IDs or a Nexus card to get across the border. And fresh off the scouting website for going through the border, the rules are a little bit different for under 16. So if your scouts are over 16, they need a passport or enhanced license or passport card or something, right? For that's over 16. Under 16, a birth certificate will do. It used to be that you could use your school ID with a photo on it. Now you need a birth certificate. I would still bring that photo ID if they have a school ID with a photo on it, just as additional proof. It doesn't hurt, but you need a birth certificate for people under 16 going with a scout troop. We also recommend that you travel in Class A's, just from empirical evidence. It gets you through easier when they see a bunch of uniforms. They're a little bit more lenient to say, okay, you hand them your paperwork. We're going to Algonquin to canoe. Here's all our paperwork. We're all in uniform. Things go much smoother that way. Again, be respectful, make eye contact, don't sleep in the back seat, and things will go just fine. Parents should travel in the same vehicle as their youth. So if you have, again, it makes it easier. Again, don't introduce any potential issues. Keep parents with their youth. Again, the recommendation that parents who are sharing custody also have the legal custody documents with them if they can, but certainly have a consent letter that says that they're allowed to go with the other parent. Again, I don't know how they know it, but they do know when there's a custody issue. So just have those things ready to say, yes, the other parent does agree with this parent taking the child across the border. And again, it'll just make life a little bit easier. Lost my cursor. Like that. There we go. There's a link here, the Scouting Wire Safeguarding Moments, Transporting Scouts Safely. And this is generic, even whether you're going to Adirondacks or to Algonquin, but it's really to follow. We'll talk about this in the next advisory meeting, but really, if you get a chance, take a look at this. And it's kind of obvious, don't drive sleepy, be alert, limit the distractions, all that kind of thing. But just remember, you're transporting scouts and they're relying on you for their safety. Next, we're going to talk a little more nitty gritty and talk about, Doug's going to talk about the crew. So what as adult advisors, here's the advice you should be giving to the scout leaders or the senior patrol leaders. Doug?
So again, you can find this and detailed information in the advisor handbook. But first and foremost, this is a scout-led high adventure trek. So the scouts will be leading and making decisions, and when advisors, you're just there to have vacation, enjoy the ride, and of course, be prepared to help with any safety issues. But other than that, each crew will need to elect a leader and an assistant. And then they will want to get a quartermaster, a navigator or a navigesser, as we sometimes say, somebody who is medic or first aid, So again, if a scout who's a medic or first aid, that would be a good one who can sit in on the wilderness first aid training CPR if possible. And then a chaplain's aid. And if there's if the crew has other positions they want to fill, like a cheermaster or something like that, it's totally up to the crew. Next. This is in the handbook. Again, it's a personal gear list. So it goes through the things that you'll wear every day, the extra clothing you'll want to pack, some things in fanny or day packs that you want to be able to have handy while you're canoeing, extra things that you'll need for sleeping, obviously for health and sanitation, a wash kit, and then also what to bring as you're traveling up there and as you're leaving. So the travel bag, the travel kit, the travel clothes, and some suggestions of things not to bring, obviously drugs, fireworks, firearms, etc. And when you get up there, we will the guides will go through all of this again as part of a shakedown to make sure you have what you need and to make recommendations of things that maybe you want to think about whether you want to really carry with you in the canoe or not. Next. So when we are up there, and again, they talk about these things in the handbook, and the guides will go through it with you when we're up at base camp. But basically, make sure you have at least 2 10-20 liter dry bags. These dry bags will carry your extra clothing, and it'll carry your sleeping pad and sleeping gear, things like that. And that's important because you're going to want to keep these dry when you're canoeing in case anything happens, and what could happen when you're on the water, right? You'll also, again, have a pack with your travel clothes. You'll be wearing your backcountry clothes, and you'll have some sort of small fanny or day pack that you can access things through. And then we'll, the details, and we'll be putting all these things in big Duluth bags, which will show you what they are. We'll show you how to pack them, and we'll teach you how to carry them during the portages.
So Kim had a question. So one 20 liter or 2 10 liters, most guides will say pick 2 10 liters. They're easier to pack and kind of arrange in the Duluth packs as we're doing them. It kind of helps you sort things out a little bit better too. But more smaller bags is better than one big giant humongous bag. And the other important part of this slide is logistically in your head, you should be thinking, I'm packing for 2 trips. Don't think, oh, I'll take some of my travel stuff and put that in my my backcountry pack, and I'll take this and I'll put this in here. No, actually pack for 2 separate trips and keep them separated. And that way you'll reduce the idea of, oh, I forgot to bring my sleeping bag because that was in my travel stuff. Oh, I forgot this, or oh, I was going to bring that and I didn't. Think about it as 2 separate trips.
And it'll assure that you have clean clothes for the way back.
Most importantly, you have clean clothes.
Hey, Mark.
Yep.
Doug, going back to that question there about the bags, I think we would remind them that in a Duluth pack, it's packing for everybody that's in that canoe, and there will be the belongings for 3 people in there. And so we kind of do put a upper limit of 20 liters on what an individual ought to bring.
Right.
Because if somebody comes in with a 40-liter bag, 3 of those won't fit in into the Duluth bag. And some of those bags, they have different textures to them. Which ones slide? Some of the really heavy rubber ones are kind of hard to use.
Yeah, the rubber ones are, if you can avoid it, if that's what you got, that's what you got. But those rubber ones are really tough to slide past.
We recommend the dry bags. If you don't have a dry bag, if you have some sort of compression sack, or a small duffel bag, you could use that. You're just going to have to line that with at least 2 layers of plastic bags or garbage bags to try to make them as waterproof as possible. But the dry bags are not too expensive if you can certainly get a couple of 10-liter or 20-liter bags.
Do you have particular materials or brands that you recommend, or brands as examples?
That's a good question. Off the top of my head, I don't know the actual brand names.
Cedar Summit is mostly what I tend to buy, but they're all usually pretty good. I mean, they're all, and in fact, during shakedown, the physical shakedown, we'll actually take your bags and throw them in the lake to make sure that they're waterproof. Better to find out there. If you can't make it to shakedown, we advise you to take your bags, put some towels in it, roll it up, and put it in the bathtub and soak them. Let them sit in there to make sure that they're good. The cheaper brand that you get, that's where the seams are gonna leak. Okay, so Cedar Summit typically is usually pretty good, but I know there's just a lot of vendors for them now.
Yeah, but that's important. You know, what you'll hear was we have a shakedown in June, but that's more for local crews. But at that shakedown, we have them come with their gear packed like they think they should. We throw it all in a lake for an hour and then we pull it out, and they learn whether or not they pack well. And it's better to learn there where they really don't have to use the wet gear than if it happens in the middle of a trek. And so, as Mark said, if you're not going to be able to get to the June shakedown, you know, try that with your crew on your own at some point. Either if you're out canoeing for a day, try having them all pack everything the way they think it's waterproof and throw it in a lake, or worst come or as Mark suggested, just try throwing it in a bathtub for a while.
But don't put the camera in there for your test.
I would recommend, guys, if you have a like a local outdoor supplier store, like for example here in Erie County in the Buffalo area, we have Gear for Adventure. They work with scouts a lot. They've got some top of the line equipment there, and if you have a store like that near you, not, you know, Dick's is okay, Bass Pro is okay, but you know, especially shop that focuses on high adventure type equipment, they'll be able to show you, and you'll be able to like touch it, feel it, you know, make a much better informed decision on what the best gear is for you, rather than just shopping online and, you know, you get what you get that's shipped in from out of country.
Right.
So I would highly recommend something like that, and you can often get a good deal if you say you're going on a scouting adventure too.
But it sounds like you'd avoid the heavy duty rubberized bags. So Eric, I think our troop bags are just that. So I think we'd avoid that.
Well, if they're 10 or 20 liters, they would fit in the Duluth bags.
Right.
But if they're bigger than that, then yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, it's the big ones you get in there, they're tough. And you can get one in, but then you try to get 2 or 3 of those in there. That's the problem.
But yeah, talk to your guide, even show him what you're thinking of, and let him make the assessment. That's what the guides are there for, and they'll give you some firsthand knowledge.
In the advisor handbooks, there's schematics of how a Duluth bag is ideally packed, but you can get a sense that you're going to get 5, maybe 6 Duluth bags for your crew. One Duluth bag will have the gear for 3 people, and then maybe a couple extra things. So that's 3 Duluth bags right there. And then we'll have a Duluth bag with all the crew gear and a Duluth bag with all the food. But you know, the idea is, you know, the 3 people in a canoe, they'll all have their stuff packed in one large Duluth bag. So that's something to help you think about what you may size and compaction you might need. But we'll review all of that before we get out on the water too.
Absolutely.
Again, I mentioned a little bit about the selection process. Again, review your canoe routes, review the maps, get a couple of ideas so when the guides, you meet with your guides, they'll all be contacting you. have some Zoom meetings, or if they're close enough, in-person meetings, and can go with you over specifics. Again, like I said, of what are your objectives? What kind of things do you want to do? You want a 50 miler? Do you want, like I said, fishing? Or do you want to get some hikes in there? Are you all a bunch of beginners? Do you have a mixed group of paddlers? And we can help you pick out what the best routes options would be and let you guys make the final choices. And that'll be for both Algonquin and the Algonquin Provincial Park, which is huge, and it is really wide. You can get really wild into wild, remote places up there. And then, of course, the Adirondacks, the whole western part of the Adirondacks we have canoe routes that go all different parts of the Adirondack Park. And again, the same thing. What do your crew want to do? And we'll help you pick out the best one to have the best adventure for your unit.
Yep, and these are suggested routes. Both parks, Adirondacks and Algonquin, you can go anywhere you want. There's no set place that you have to stay on that route. If you want to diverge or converge things together, knock yourself out.
And for you multiple crews, troops with units with multiple crews, you can either each take your own trek. You could go on the same trek, but it's may not be likely that you'll be able to camp at the same spots. But you know, we can identify treks if that's what you want to do, where there's enough camping spots close enough to each other that it might make sense. So again, the guides are a wealth of knowledge. They can help you plan the whichever trek that's perfect for you. The menus, we'll be giving you breakfast, lunches, and dinners and desserts for the whole week. And we'll work with you guys to organize them in the food bag in ways that make sense. And that's one of the things we will do with you during shakedown. You'll get all your food. If you're actually in the Western New York area, we'd like you to pick up the food before you come up, and we'll have that available for you to pick up and bring with you. For those of you coming from out of council, we'll have all the food ready for you up at base camp, and we'll distribute to you there. And this is essentially, you know, the mix. You'll have a variety, as you can see here, and you guys can mix and match and make the lunches and breakfasts on whichever days you want, and the dinners. The dinners are generally Mountain House 2-person meals. And so what generally you'll buddy up and cook a meal, and the desserts can be fun. We can do things like frying pan bread. The pudding you can enhance with wild blueberries and other fruits if you can find them. So we try to provide a nice range of food that's pretty easy to prepare and put together. Again, if you have any allergies, please let us know, and we can try to talk to you about it. There's some things we may be able to handle, but there's some things we may not. I know when I went to Philmont, we had one kid that was had a very severe allergy to nuts. They essentially had to bring all their own food to make sure. But those are the kind of things we need to talk about. As you get there, you'll see that there's decisions you and your crews will make about you know, whether the kind of meals they want to prepare. One is going to be quick versus quick breakfast versus you got to fire up a stove or a fire to cook the breakfast. These are just decisions you guys are going to want to talk through and make at the base camp when you get your food before we go out in the water. I'm not sure what's not provided.
Yeah, the on-water snacks really aren't about the only thing that we don't provide. So if you want energy packets or a bar for eating on the canoe, Although I typically find there's enough leftovers, my crews always return with food. We just can't eat all the food that's given to us. So the granola bars and the breakfast stuff and the snacks generally make good snacks out on the water. But if there's something you want in particular for on the water, feel free to bring it.
And again, any food you don't eat, it's your food. You can bring it back and use it for whatever future campouts you might have.
Yep. Oh, this is me. All right, my turn. So that's our first advisor meeting. It's really to get you started, to get you looking at the book and to start talking to your crews. This isn't when it starts getting real. We want people to start thinking about how they're going to plan it and what shape their trek is going to be. So our next advisor orientation session will be April 21st. And then we will talk about route planning and selection, right? So we'll expect that you'll have your route at least mostly planned with your guide. And I want to go back. For Algonquin, it's especially important. For Algonquin, you have to reserve campsites in each lake, right? So we need to get those in as quick as possible to make sure that you have a place to camp. So you may pick a whole bunch of lakes, but if those lakes don't have campsites available, you're going to have to adjust a little bit. Adirondacks is first come, first serve. So we generally time our getaways that we never have to worry about getting a campsite. So Adirondacks, a lot more flexible. Algonquin, we need to know right away where you're going to go. We'll be doing the same thing again. We'll be doing a council meeting and a Zoom meeting. So for those who don't know, there's two meetings going on at the same time. There's a Zoom meeting, but there's also an in-person council meeting going on with the same material, just doing it for the folks that are there. We decided to separate it this time, and for the next time too, is because the people on the calls are short. They don't get the full experience. Usually there's conversations going on and you don't hear them, or when a speaker starts speaking or one of the guides starts talking and he's off camera and you don't know what he said, or you can barely read the screen because it's up in the thing. So it usually ends up kind of frustrating for people who are remote. And since we have such a large contingent of folks that aren't in council, we decided to separate them out and give you a better experience and let the people in person have their own experience too. We'll also need your crew leader there and your navigator because we'll be going through the maps and starting to look at where are we going to camp, what are we going to see, where do we want to go. Again, in this next meeting, it becomes really real. This is you're going to plan your adventure. So we'll want you to bring your maps. And how are we going to do this virtually? I don't know. We'll figure that out. But we're gonna go through your itinerary and go through all the particulars day by day of what we're gonna do and what we're gonna try and see. And we really want to, when we talk about cruise wants and wishes, we really should do that before this meeting. So your guide should contact you and talk with your crew and find out again, easy, hard. I want to paddle. I want to hike. I want fishing. I want swimming. Really need to get that nailed down before this meeting.
I would suggest that, again, on a Zoom meeting, it's not, the guides won't be able to sit down with you directly, but maybe what will happen with the out of council contingents, all of you, is after we go through that meeting, we may want to have one final meeting with your guide to specifically take you through and finalize your options.
Yeah, we'll try and do some breakout rooms and make it a little more unique for each group. We have a shakedown coming out. So June 7th is our physical shakedown. So we all get together at Camp Scout Haven and we go through that training book. And we show you, so you've seen it in the training book. We'll actually demonstrate and then have you try out a lot of the skills that are in that book. Now, for the out of council crews, we're making videos and we're trying to do a little more education, trying to figure out, how do you virtually train folks? But we're really going to have to heavily rely on adult advisors and the Scoutmasters to look through that skills book and to say, okay, I can teach these skills. We can try this out. more than likely for the out of council crews, the first day at base camp will be a review of what we did at Shakedown, of going through the skills of, hanging a bear bag and putting up a dining fly and boiling water with a Kelly kettle, which most people probably haven't done before, and all that kind of stuff. And just kind of go through and assess the skill level. We a lot of times we'll take that first day on the water as a training day too, to kind of bust out the rust, and because we find that sort of the scouts treat the shakedown and the training sessions as, yeah, but I'm never really going to do it. They only kind of have to pay attention. And then when you get out in the backwoods in that first day, it's like, okay, go set the bear bag up, and you just give them ropes. They kind of look at you like, oh, I should have paid attention. So we use that first day as a get real moment of, all right, let me show you again. Let me show you how to tie a taut line again. But that's kind of when the, oh, I am going to do all this stuff. Yep, you are. Future training. So, this is, like I said, so for those out of council folks, we'll use base camp as as a shakedown to kind of make sure that everything is, you got the skills and you've kind of got the idea of the canoe skills, the portaging a canoe. It's all those things that really make the adventure go much smoother, right? So we'll go through those again at base camp for both, just a little more in depth for the out of council folks. Questions? So that's my son right there. I'm taking the picture, but any questions from anybody?
Yes, for the food allergies and all that, do we go through our guide to communicate that information, or we go somebody else?
Go through your guide, talk to your guide, make sure he knows, because he really needs to know that, right? So he'll make sure that the food is correct. And then when you're out on your trek, he's really got to make sure that he knows that there's food allergies going on, right? Because he doesn't want surprises either. So start with your guide, and then we'll make sure you get the right food.
But I would also suggest all the scouts understand each other's food allergies, so that they can, work and help out in that case. The example is with my scout who had severe peanut allergies. All the scouts had to learn how to eat the nut-laden trail food around this person, or not to eat it around this person. But just to make sure that the scouts understand, don't inadvertently maybe cross-contaminate things. That's just a good experience for them to be aware.
And this is our first time in all our history of doing a standard menu. So typically we let scouts kind of pick what food they want to bring, and it almost invariably ends up granola and beef sausage. You get really tired of that after 4 or 5 times. So we've kind of standardized the menu, one, to reduce cost, right? Because you can order in bulk, but also give variety. And these are really the stuff that most people like. If you have issues with what's on that standard menu, let your guide know. And especially with food allergies, let him know. And the meals, the dinners are great. There's a huge variety. Nobody goes hungry. There's usually, it's a big swap meet of try this, hey, let me try yours, you can try mine. So dinners are a lot more lively than they ever used to be.
Yeah, if you have vegetarians in your group, or I know I'm taking out a group, there's some egg allergies, just discuss all that. I mean, there are certainly vegetarian options in the food that we're providing. But those are things to talk about and identify.
Other questions?
So guides have been assigned. Will we get that information of who's guiding which crew via email?
We will email you. For you, Jeff, I'm going to be one of your guides, and there's 2 others, and we're coordinating a connection with you to set up a first meeting. But all the guides that are assigned will be in touch with each of you. Or at
Yeah.
least your contact person.
Right, the primary, right.
Right.
Yes, for multi-trek troops, we're trying to have one central point of contact, like Doug will be here for all the crews, but each crew going out is gonna have its own guide. So that they should have a relationship too, but just in the interest of sanity, if you have questions or concerns, you can funnel them all up through a central person and know that you're gonna get an answer. But each crew will have a guide and they'll work with them for their individual treks.
Good, thanks.
Do you recommend that the next meeting be the one where we talk about allergens that we have, or do we do that through our guide?
Yeah, get it known right away through your guide. We're in the process of ordering food now, so now's the time.
Okay. We definitely have nut allergies.
Okay.
Did I also read somewhere that hammocking is welcome?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I hammock
Excellent.
all the time. So that's one of the things you'll work with your guide too, right? Because we got to know how many tents to bring. That's part of that whole. You got 3 bags. You got to put gear in. Some crews are all hammocks. Some are a mix. It's a big hodgepodge, but hammocks have their own challenges, right? So we like to make sure that scouts who are doing hammock camping or adults know what they're getting into. It's not the first time they just bought the hammock and the first time they're going to use it is day one. No, that's not a good idea at all. And you got to worry about, under quilts, and you got to worry about, protection and tarp brain flies. So there's a lot of stuff you have to take into consideration for hammocks, not just go buy a hammock and think that that's all you're going to do. So let your guide know how many and what you expect to get out of it and with the level of experience so that we can kind of plan accordingly.
And if I can toss a little bit on that, you might wind up in a tent in base camp because there's not enough trees for,
right.
If every crew wants to hammock, there's just not enough trees in. But we do have tents in their trailer, so.
Yeah.
So that's tents for Algonquin, right? Base camp, I'm
Tents for
sorry,
Algonquin.
base camp for Algonquin.
Yeah.
We have tents for your crews for the base camp, and you can, if you want, you can then bring those tents out with you on the trek.
For Adirondack?
Yep.
Both.
Friday night.
Yep.
Okay, good to know.
And
Uh,
it is
oh-
nice to set up your hammock at base camp so that the guide can see that you're actually prepared.
So Chris was not able to get a solid answer for me about Friday night. So it sounds like we can drive directly to the base camp for the Adirondack trip and camp overnight there for Saturday morning.
You're talking the Friday night, the first Friday night.
Yes.
For your week 3, we're going to be transitioning from Algonquin down to the Adirondacks. So there.
Well, we don't have to.
I'll talk to you about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that offline.
About that, because we'll be getting there Friday night too. But I believe if you get there Friday night, yeah, there's plenty of places for you guys to set up in base camp.
Doug, I know I and the equipment trailer won't be there till Saturday night.
Okay.
Because think about it, we get off the water, Algonquin, Friday night, pack up, rest up, leave Saturday morning. We're not there till Saturday.
That's true.
Unless there's a fresh guide going from Buffalo to that wants to meet the crews there.
I'll work that out and let you know, Jeff.
Okay, very good, thanks.
Because you're coming from Maryland, so
Right.
yeah. We'll talk about that. Those are some things we'll go over.
Okay.
not impossible. All right, any other questions?
So you mentioned that the scouts are going to be bringing snacks, and you mentioned bear bags.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that whatever package they use to carry their daily snacks, their fanny pack or whatever, that goes in the bear bags overnight.
Yes, anything smellable goes up in the bear bags.
So we want to make sure that their day pack. So there's the day pack, there's the dry bags, and then there's the fanny pack. The fanny pack goes up. We want to make sure that these day bags that they bring are not ones that they have been
Contaminated.
using for the last 7 years and smell like whatever was packed in them for the last 3.
I would recommend they either have a day pack or a fanny pack, but not necessarily both.
Okay.
Right.
There's only so much room in the canoes and in the bags.
And yeah, and those snacks really should be waterproof in a Ziploc or something, not just kind of scattered in their bag, because it's gonna get wet. Pretty much count on everything getting wet. We're on the water.
Everything gets wet.
Everything will get wet. Even if it's in a dry bag, count on it getting wet, because just count on it. And your feet will never be dry. Count on that too.
They'll be dry once you get into camp.
There you go. All right, other questions?
John, you want to say hi?
I'm trying to figure out which crew that I'm attached to. It's part of a triple crew. And I just, as you can, well, this is my chef coat. I just got in from work, so I'm trying to orient myself to the scout meeting now.
You're going to be with two, Sean. You're going to be with Jeff Sharp and Troop 306, and you're also going to be with the South Carolina crew.
That's right.
220.
Okay, so that's my second crew from South Carolina.
Yeah, Sean, I'm tag teaming that one with you, and I believe Ron Fields.
Yep, that sounds right. See, now I'm getting into my my guide, out of the kitchen into the guide stuff. And by the way, I got to cook for a bunch of you guys this weekend, so.
Yes, you do.
Yep.
Thank you, Sean.
Other questions? All right. Thanks everyone for your time. Really appreciate you making the time to attend this advisor meeting. You guys are what makes this really successful. And in the next meeting, we'll have the scouts involved, and they will surely be the ones that make sure it's successful. So we're off to a very good start by just attending this meeting. And remember your homework, start looking through the advisor ones, look at the forms, and start gathering information and work with your guide to set your trek up and get your allergies in as quick as you can.
And just to verify the homework for next meeting, and if this was said before I chimed in, I do apologize. The homework is the food allergies, an idea what they want to do for a trek, so we can finalize that and get the reservations in, especially for those going to Algonquin. And what other homework do they have?
Training. Make sure you get your training up to snuff. And if
just an additional thought for the multi-crew troops that are going up, for example, the one that Sean and Ron and I are dealing with, it may not be possible to run the exact same route with everybody based on what Mark was saying earlier about the availability of campsites up in Algonquin. Adirondacks is a little bit different, but the Algonquin crew, we may need to run different routes based on the availability of campsites on the lakes and based on the ability of your crews. So please consider that as well as you're planning your treks out.
Yes, I'm not sure who received that email, but I did send an email out that outlined that, you know, that if, you know, basically how to break up the crews and, you know, so forth.
Yeah, you'll have choices to make. Do you want to put crews of all beginners and all experienced to go on two very separate treks? Do you want to mix so you have the experienced scouts with inexperienced scouts and pick a different type of trek? Those are all decisions for you guys to make if you have multiple units going up there.
But please, 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 if you decide to go all on the same trek and you decide to put all of the advanced scouts in one and all the beginners, it's just not going to work.
Right.
It's probably the only trip that I had that and this is my 20th season. It's the only trip that didn't go real smooth. So if you're going to do beginners and advanced, you can take two separate treks that meet at certain points along the way, but you know, we can hash that out in the next month and see what you guys need.
Please, yeah, don't feel you're on your own. Your guides have a wealth of information and experience, and they're more than willing to let you know and guide you into the right route selection. But yeah, you don't want your crews hating each other by the end of the trip. And it's always nice to kind of do something a little bit different so you have something to talk about around the campfire.
Hey, Mark, I said, in my experience of dealing with treks where they wanted to go together, they rarely join up. They might maybe on day 3 or day 4, like Sean just said, but to actually plan and expect each crew to be on the same length or lake adjacent campsites at it doesn't work out. It leads to dissatisfaction. So I usually recommend against it, quite frankly.
Yeah. Don't even try, and if it happens, yeah, great. It happened, but don't plan on it. Yeah, that was my first trip not as a guide, but just as a regular scout leader. We did a sister crew with Al Piercy, and yeah, I expected to like be camping with him every night. It's like I don't think I saw him until we got back at base camp, and we were on the same track. It's like, oh well, that wasn't what I thought was going to happen. So again, use your guys.
Each crew is going to have their own daily rhythm.
Yep. Yeah. That's one of the awesome things to see is the scouts kind of get into a rhythm. They kind of get used to high adventure camping and the duties that they have to do. It's really great, and both will be completely different. All right, questions. All right, this week I'll make sure that all the guides have reached out at least once to all the folks.
I did my homework.
All right, thank you. Guides had their homework too. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate your time. Again, any questions, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Doug. Doug, I love the background,
you.
by the way.